And welcome to our 2020 Small Business Conference pre-conference attendee webinar on opportunity planning and research. This is Ann McLeod coming at you from the SAME National Office remote location in Washington, D.C. We are joined today by our moderator, Sally Clark, our speakers, Archisha, Mehan, and Leila, Salim from Fedmine. Before we get started, we want to make sure that you use all functionality of our webinar with the chat function. Feel free to talk amongst one another using the chat panel and submit your questions to our speakers using the Q&A tab. If you see any questions from others that you like, make sure to upvote them so we know what's most important to you. Audio is broadcast through your computer speakers. When you entered, you should have seen a button to connect to the audio stream, and make sure to turn up your volume. Of course, if your volume's not on, you can't even hear me saying this to you right now. If you've got any technical issues, let us know via the chat tab. And with that, we will get started. I'm going to hand it over first to Sally for a quick hello, and she'll introduce our speakers.
Great, thank you, Ann. Again, I'm Sally Clark, a vice president here with AFG Group. We're a program and construction management firm based out of Northern Virginia with offices in New York as well as throughout the country. I am happy to be here on behalf of the Small Business Community of Interest as the vice chair for national conferences. I'm happy to be here for our first pre-session for the virtual Small Business Conference. As most people know, this is the largest conference that the Society of American Military Engineers holds, and we're excited to be in this forum today with Leila and with Archisha. Archisha serves on the Small Business Community of Interest with me, and she serves in the role of secretary. So it's a unique opportunity to have our representation for the community here. We also have Leila here, who is an account manager, and I am happy to meet her here in this forum as well today. Archisha has a number of interesting facts that she has up here about herself, whether it is the fact that she has visited and studied in Scotland, that her husband is an entrepreneur and actually the owner of Fedmine, and that she has the multitude that we see here and has two twin adult boys who have chosen very different directions for their careers, as I've learned. So happy to have you guys here with us today.
Thank you.
Leila, as you can see here, I moved to Miami, Florida, and is a Virginia Tech alumni, so go VT. And she has 3 daughters, which we haven't heard any noise from them, so we'll see.
You don't hear any.
Great. And they don't have a dog yet, as you can see here, but the girls definitely want one. Everybody needs a COVID work from home project. So a dog would be a great addition, Leila.
Yeah, it's in the works.
Awesome. All right, so to go through today's agenda, we'll go through the introductions as we've just done. We'll spend a little bit of time going over the AEC industry, the basics of competitive analysis, moving into the importance of market research, who is winning the contracts, finding opportunities, subcontracting, and then creating a strategy to succeed at virtual SBC, followed by a Q&A. And as Ann mentioned, feel free to put your Q&A in the box to the right.
Perfect.
So to start today's session, we'd like to get started with a poll. This is our first poll for today. It is, do you use a data intelligence tool? No. Do you rely on beta.sam.gov, which is free? Do you use Fedmine, or do you use GovWin /Deltec, or do you have another tool that your company uses to support competitive analysis as well as research? Here at AFG, I'll share, we use GovWin as our primary tool in combination with a number of other tools such as beta.sam.gov. And I think Archisha and Leila are going to get into a little bit of the challenges when you go to use beta.sam.gov, which has been awesome. But there have been some really great sessions and seminars that have come up on how to better utilize that tool. And it is getting better. So kudos to the government for improving it bit by bit. All right, so I think we have the poll is about to close. And as it closes, I will pass it off to Archisha and Leila.
Okay, should we get on? Okay, perfect. So before, I always think it's a great idea to start with seeing exactly what's happening within an industry. Federal spending, of course, is going, doing, hold on, let me get off my camera. Yeah, so as of day before, about 88.16 billion was awarded in FY20 to about 34,000 companies. And do keep in mind that DoD spending takes about 90 days to get updated and made public to everyone. So I'm expecting this number will definitely increase quite a bit, is my feeling or inference based on what we saw last year. Last year, we have about 101 billion that was spent under this category. Top agencies so far include Energy, Army, Navy, Air Force, and the VA. And the top NAICS codes, again, I always say no surprises, 561, 210, and a few construction NAICS codes. What I was pretty surprised, and I guess I shouldn't be, was to see the top place of performance as New Mexico, followed by California and Tennessee. And if you are interested in seeing the full report, you can always click, we've given the hyperlink and access to the report, so you could actually see the full report. And interestingly, even though we have about $88 million awarded to 34,000 companies, only less than 25% really went to small businesses, and the number of small businesses that actually won the contracts were almost 2/3 of the total number of businesses. So I always find that a very interesting fact of how, even though we make our small business goals, the number of businesses that are actually getting also a lot. So anyway, I always like to mention that. Let's getting into what we want in the basics. These are first steps that every government contractor needs to take before getting started. And I'm sure most of the companies have done this, but, getting certified, getting registered. But I think things that are equally, if not more important as you start getting into the business is learning the language. There are nuances, what does each word mean? For you, it could be different, but for the government, it might be a little different. Knowing the small business officers at your agencies, is again, very important. And, their mission is to assist you. So I always say, work with them. Get a champion within that small business office. Learn the do's and don'ts of responding to proposals. It's not just knowing which opportunity you want to follow and respond to, but it is how do you respond to it? Are you making sure you're not only talking about your company, but you're actually addressing the need that you have to answer? And things that we don't want to get into, things like the FARs, are super important. Making sure that you know the FARs that you're accepting when you're responding to a proposal or actually signing off the proposal. So always important, I say these are the basics, but we all tend to forget that. So I just wanted to make sure I point that out again. This is what we call the Fed cycle or the federal spending universe. You always have the agency right in the middle. The agencies are going to start with sources sought, they'll draft an RFP, they'll have an industry day, they will go through the whole process and come up with a proposal. But it's interesting that even though the agencies are doing this, and I know Leila will talk about it a little bit, only 20% of all the proposed only 20% of all contracts are actually bid out. So it's always important to keep that in mind. Right here, you could actually see, what are the steps that the companies have to go through as they're responding. And market research is definitely super important, not only as we'll talk a little bit more as we get into this. So Leila, is this you?
Yes. So why do we do market research? It helps you win more business. This is the planning that you need to go through every time, every year, every cycle, or even when you're just getting started, to know who in the federal government is buying what you're selling, what are the top agencies, who are the top competitors that you want to, go after their business, who is partnering with who's winning the subcontracts at what price. What vehicles are they using, and when are their contracts expiring? These are all the important things that you want to look into when you're looking at the federal data to help you understand, your total market, the addressable market, and then you can plan your strategy of attack. And then in that right-hand corner, it's not showing, but that was the little fun fact that we like to draw attention to. That there it is. Only 20% of federal business opportunities are released publicly on Beta SAM. So then there's a whole world of 80% more that you really need to tap into by utilizing and building those relationships and doing your market research. So where do you get all of this federal spending data? There's all of these sites. You can go crazy scouring all of the government websites. But definitely they're all free and you have access to all of them. Or you have a tool such as Fedmine that you subscribe to that gives you access to these sources in a more unified way of seeing them. Also, if you reach out to your local PTAC, the Procurement Technical Assistance Centers are all over the country and they help small businesses. We work with many of them around the US and they use Fedmine to help their clients. So that's another great resource if you're just getting started. These are Fedmine's 17 data sources. So we are integrating from 17 federal sources and bringing them all into our platform in a unified manner, regularly updating them either on a daily or weekly, sometimes monthly basis. FPDS NG is what we like to call the backbone of our platform. We have a daily XML feed straight from FPDS. And the same thing goes for Beta SAM. We have a daily feed, and we're also just recently incorporated twice daily alerts for our clients. So you'll wake up with alerts in your inbox, and then sometime in the late afternoon, you get another alert if there's anything new based upon the searches that you have saved. So we tie in all of that information along with subcontracting information, the SAM database, for our company profiles, the Veterans Affairs database. So if they're a veteran-owned firm, you'll see that profile pulling into Fedmine. Lots of good information is getting aggregated into one unified place. So the next thing you want to do is really understand your market. This is where you'll put that market research and that all those data sources to good use. You want to make sure you find out what NAICS codes are being used. What are the top contracting offices that you want to target? And even go further and get their contact information, which I can show you how you can do with Fedmine. Who's your competition? Who are the top primes that are winning this work? What percent, how did it go to small business in the last year? What contracts are being awarded under the SAT threshold? And then you can also check out what ones are being awarded on a purchase card. These are all things that you can find by using the federal data sources, either from a public site or using a subscription service. It's just a lot easier to access that information. Okay. So, yeah, I think now we're going to jump into actually showing some of how to use Fedmine.
Yeah. So can you guys see my screen? So I'm just I can drive Leila when you're talking.
Okay, go for it. Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Yes, we see your screen.
Perfect. So do you want me to put in a keyword or anything? Or
Actually, I just see the Fedmine homepage.
oh, sorry.
That's okay.
Excuse our.
Oh no.
Can you see now? I'm sorry. We are. Pardon us while we are.
I see the slides. Okay, I see it now. Yes, so we can do a basic contract search in Fedmine and use the keyword of remediation. You can use any keyword. You can use a multitude of keywords, put in all your core capabilities. Definitely choose the last fiscal year so that we can get a better understanding of our market. And then really keep it open just to get a good idea. But you can add as many filters as you want, such as NAICS codes, or filter by agency. But Archisha just left it at remediation for 2020, and it's always going to give you a summary. So you can see there were 606 companies awarded $1 billion in the last fiscal year for these remediation type of contracts. And then at the top, you'll see that we summarize the top agencies that are awarding. So it would give you a good idea of where you want to focus your energy on. The Department of Energy, also Army, and then Department of Veterans Affairs. You can see the top prime contractors. So this is going to be your biggest competitors, who you might want to focus on, looking at their profiles in Fedmine, try to emulate them, their growth, just to see how they're winning. This is going to give you now the top NAICS codes. So the top one there is remediation services, no surprise, followed by a construction NAICS for other heavy engineering. Then we can see how these are being awarded by set aside. You could also see the PSC codes being used. And then down the last row is going to give you the states by place of performance. So the bulk of these awards are have been awarded in Washington State, and then Virginia and Utah. You can then see the competition categories, and then what percentage went to small business versus other than small. So 23.5% of these awards have gone to small businesses. If you scroll down, that's going to bring you into the summary of the companies that have been winning these contract awards. And you can click into the dollar amounts to see what comprises those transactions. Yep, so there's one for this 3E company that they won with the Army. It's a task order for optimized remediation, environmental restoration services. And then you can go in and see that your keyword will be highlighted where it falls in the contract requirement. You can see the contracting office that wrote this award. There's the contracting officer's contact information. We've also linked the original solicitation. So that's a nice way to get access to that original solicitation and, see what keywords might have been used. You could also look at the award notice. If it was a MATOC, which this happens to be, you can see what other contractors comprise this MATOC and how they've won over the past fiscal years. So it's a lot of connectivity, bringing it all together from the award to this, or from the solicitation to the award. You can see all of the different important dates there on the right-hand side, and then the total dollar amounts. If you wanted to, go back, and I wanted to show you on the results screen for the contract search, the profile for the company that's the first veteran-owned firm. If you scroll down a little bit, I think it's Site Corporation. just one way of showing you how we bring in all of our data sources into the company profiles. So this is a company called Site Corporation from Chicago, Illinois. You can see things like their growth over the years, their top clients, what agencies are they working with, when they registered in SAM, their company size. All of that information is pulling from the SAM database, their contact information. And then below that is any certifications that they have. So we know that they're a veteran-owned firm because that was showed in the results screen previously. But they've also, I believe, they're also an 8A firm. Yes, so that expires. Their 8A certification will be expiring in July of next year. And yes, they were HubZone at one point in time. So you can get a lot of good information from our company profiles. We like to connect all of that information to the transaction details as well as the subcontract information.
So, this was just to show you how you could sort of get a very good understanding of where you want to focus in terms of your agencies, your NAICS code, make sure that you're focusing on the right NAICS code. And like Leila said, while you're looking and getting a list of all the companies winning business, I would always say that a lot of these companies will be at SBC. And if you are starting off and if this is the type of work that you're doing, I would always encourage you to meet and set up appointments and meet with these large companies that are actually winning the work. Because now not only do you know what type of work they're doing the work, and you could actually look at additional, details of their transactions and see if, there are subcontractors that are required. And that is something that I do want to make sure I point out. I'm going to do the same search in FPDS so you could see. But a lot of times you will find that a subcontract plan is, if a subcontract plan is required, it will be mentioned in FPDS. So I would tell you to use the strategy and set up and do your market research in advance of SBC so that you're actually meeting the right companies, you are prepared, and you know what you want to talk about. So Leila, I'm going to quickly get into FPDS and sort of show the same type of information. You have to set up, so FPDS is where all the federal contracts reside, and I need my other browser because I can never remember my passwords. But FPDS NG is a federal, is a government site. It is free. I do understand a lot of this functionality is moving to beta.sam. So absolutely try that. But this is just, FPDS is a nice way. It's a free resource. You have the ability to do some searches within FPDS. You can go in and, say, I want to see what actions have been awarded by agencies. So just one of the ways of looking at FPDS and doing the search. I want to say Sammy also has a very good webinar that was done earlier. So feel free to reach out to go back and look at some of the Sammy webinars that were done, and just find, there was a very good one that was done on using FPDS for market research some time ago. You could also go to beta.sam. You could select contract opportunities. Opportunities. We're looking at awards, sorry. This is keyword based too, so you could absolutely do that. And come up with the contract awards. It's just not put in the nice way that we do or other subscription services might do, but it is going to allow you to look at a specific transaction and see what that requirement was. So this is, I just want to make sure that we show you how this works. These are some of the grants, but I don't know why I'm not getting contract listing, but you could select agencies right here. So we could say we just want to look at the Army. And then we could further just look at the Army Corps. And you could see the transaction, you could see, when it's due, things of that nature. Yeah, so I just wanted to make sure I go in there, yeah. So Leila, am I getting back to the slides now?
Yes. Let's see.
So I guess there are no questions so far.
I haven't seen any questions.
Okay.
Yes, Archisha and Leila, it's Anne. So we've had some technical difficulties with the links that were sent out. So unfortunately, yes, a lot of people trying to get in, couldn't get in and so forth. So this is being recorded. So hopefully if people get the new link, we'll see some questions. If not, then Sally and I can come up with some questions to ask you. But that's the current situation. And, we love technology, so we'll go with it.
I think we were going to look at the subcontracts at some point.
Yeah. And so do you want me to get back? Yeah. So why don't we talk about subcontracts? So if that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So one of the things, Leila, why don't you talk?
Are you going to share the Fedmine?
Yes.
So we also, one of our sources is pulling from ESRS, which is subcontract, where the subcontract awards are reported, and they're not always reported. So the subcontract awards data is only as good as, the primes who are actually reporting it in ESRS. But it's a great way of, especially if you're starting out, we've been hearing this a lot lately. If you're getting started, you might want to even just focus on being a subcontractor first before you get into prime contracting. So you could come into Fedmine and use the subcontract search in so many ways. You could definitely use a keyword or a multitude of keywords that make up your capabilities and look at what subcontracts have been awarded under your keywords. And see things like the top agencies, again, the top prime contractors. So that would give you sort of a target of prime contractors that you want to focus on working on a relationship with them. You can see the descriptions of these subcontract awards, and then we actually link the prime award to the subcontract award at the task order level. So you can get a really good look at what that prime contract was for, who else might be the subcontractors that they're working with. You could then, find your target primes and then take that information and, use that search to look up what other subcontractors are those primes working with. So here's, Archisha showing you the results and how we've connected and highlighted the keywords there. You can see the prime contractors in that middle column and then the subcontractors to the right, followed by the total dollar amount of those subcontract awards. So it's a great way of looking into, getting an understanding of who's winning what in subcontract awards version of the contracting data that you do in your area. Also, you can see what NAICS are being used, what agencies again, and where these contracts are being performed.
Yeah. So I'm going to go back to my slide. So subcontracts, definitely, like Leila said, we are hearing more and more, especially in the AEC industry. There's a super great way of creating a market share. And, I cannot tell you the number of times we've heard companies tell us that they love meeting small businesses, the SAMI SBC is a great way of looking and meeting these prime contractors. So make use of the subcontract search. If you have a service provider use ESRS, or I would say even USA spending, where you could actually search for the subcontracts that are being awarded. So, while we are showing you using Fedmine, I do want to make sure that, you have the ability to go and use the free federal data sources to find your information. So that sort of covers a little bit about, how do you use, who's your market, which agencies are awarding the contracts, who's winning the work, and how do you use that to create your strategy. The other piece now that we want to talk about is, what is an opportunity? It is what is published on beta.sam for sure. It's also an expiring contract that might be coming up for renewal in the next few months or even a couple of years. We see that a lot more on the service side, but I know that a lot of times in the AEC world, you have MATOCs and IDIQs that get recompeted. And it's also what is forecasted by a federal agency on their website. Again, the Army Corps and the agencies that are coming to SBC do a very good job of forecasting their opportunities. So I would highly, highly recommend that you guys, have a look at that before you meet with an agency. Yep, I think it's a great opportunity. So now let's talk, where are all these opportunities being posted? Almost all the opportunities are being posted on beta.sam.gov if it is going to be made public. You do want to register and create an account on beta.sam.gov. It is a free resource. It's been just about a little less than a year since it's been live. I think they're yet evolving. There are issues, but there seems to be a lot more training now than what we had before. And again, we could get onto beta.sam, and I'm going to quickly get on beta.sam. You can create your opportunities. Again, we could go back here. You could look at contract opportunities. You could type in your keywords, and you could save your searches if you are signed in. So I want to make sure that, go through the login process and set up your searches, and you could actually see, these are contract opportunities, okay. And you could actually see what it is for, and you could get into details. And I believe, yes, you can follow it. So you have the ability to now follow these RFPs that are being released in beta.sam. And I understand that, if there is a change, you do get an email. So this is the easy way of using beta.sam to find your opportunities. And then, of course, we could absolutely do that in Fedmine. It's, again, very easy. You could save your searches. You could, a lot of functionality. You could just search for open opportunities. You could save for times. And I am quickly going to do the same remediation keyword. And search. And you could see that we have quite a few open opportunities where remediation is a keyword. Within a tool like Fedmine, we highlight not only the keyword, we allow you to search in the subject matter and also the description. So you could see, it's catching both ways. You have access to the documents. You could add this to your pipeline, and that sort of allows you to create a pipeline where you could actually create an opportunity pipeline, track what's happening within, track what you're doing with a specific opportunity, assign it to other people within your business, and be more on top of your business, because that's what we want to do. So I'm going to go back to my slides.
Yeah. Okay, so the next pointer that we want to bring our attention to is to definitely form a relationship with the local OSW office at an agency, the Office of Small and Disadvantaged Business Utilization, as well as the Use Safe Space offices. They help small businesses to understand the organization's mission, challenges, requirements, to help you figure out how a small business can work with the agency. You can look at forecasting opportunities, as well as create virtual industry days and matchmaking events. So these are really great points of contact when you're getting started and you want to sort of have a target at an agency. Definitely look up these OSW offices within those agencies.
We talked subcontracting. So we did cover subcontracts. I'm going to just go through the slides.
Okay.
Yeah, but now, yeah. So
Yeah.
now comes to the strategy piece. So Leila, go ahead.
Okay, so now we're going to put it all together. You're doing your market research. You want to use real-time accurate data, whether it's from these free sites or, get a subscription service, such as Fedmine. You want to study the agencies and figure out your targets, including getting access to their contact information. Then you want to research your competition, keep tabs of them and, what they're winning, what vehicles are they utilizing most? Are they on a GSA schedule? Are they on a GWAC or a MATOX for your industry? What's the pricing that they might have provided for previous awards that they've won? And what are the expiration dates of their current contracts? You can also review the agency forecasts and budgets. We didn't touch on that, but in Fedmine, we do link to some of the agency forecasts from their websites. It's just an easier way of getting access to that. You want to really be strategic and prepared. So only focus on the agencies that are buying your goods and services. And you can easily find that information in 3 clicks, using a tool like Fedmine. Review the expiring contracts for recompete possibilities. That's how you're going to build your pipeline with expiring contracts. Work with the agency OSW offices. And then, now it's a little bit harder, but you still want to attend industry days, conferences, matchmaking. A lot of these things now have been made virtual, and you can definitely attend these things to start making connections and forming relationships there. Definitely have your capability statement ready, and make sure it's stick to 1 page, front and back. Put your past performance on there, list out any certifications that you have, highlight your capabilities. How do you help the agency? How, you really want to make sure that you're pointing out what you will be doing for them. And then definitely take a look at subcontracting or teaming. The same steps really apply to those strategies as well.
Yeah, and I do like to always point out, we were talking once with, I want to say one of the OSW directors at a very large agency, and I remember him saying that you really want to focus on how you're going to help that agency solve a specific need. So always have that in the front of your mind. All the certifications are great. That's just used for you to get the contract, but it's really the need that you help the client with that is really most essential. And, I think we sometimes forget that. So I always like to point that out.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. And then, ensuring success at the virtual SBC. We all are going to miss Dallas. We were all looking forward to it, but we all committed to ensuring success at the virtual SBC, which I think is going to be great. So, I always say, let's do your research, know the projects that interest you. Who do you want to meet? Set up your appointments. A lot of the booths are getting up. Set up appointments there. There's matchmaking and roundtable meetings. Use those resources that Sammy's done such a great job of ensuring that are there. Be prepared. don't go to an agency without being prepared. You want that meeting to be productive. You want that introduction to lead to a further, deeper discussion. So I think it's super important that you are prepared. You know exactly what that company is doing, what that agency is doing, and how you want to help them. Have your capability statement ready. Visit the companies, set up appointments, network, and follow up. I think follow up is the most important piece of any event and anytime you meet anyone. And I think so many times, we forget doing the follow up in a timely manner, but follow up, and I think basically have fun. I mean, have fun meeting, learning, and networking, and I'm sure you'll get business once you do that. So that's what we think. There's a little bit about Fedmine, but I'm not going to go into it. But we do basically integrate all the data sources, and we've been doing this for 17 years now, and we love what we do. So any questions?
Hi, Archisha. Thank you so much for sharing today's presentation. I did want to throw out a couple questions that I was thinking about while I was watching your presentation. So I think it's really interesting how much available is out there in the public space. For those companies that you may not necessarily want snooping, is there any way to protect your company's information or to shape the information that is out there in the public sphere? Or it is what it is?
It is what it is, unfortunately. I mean, there's so much information out there. I mean, you have... So I think that's where it gets super important as a government contractor to even look at things like CPARs, making sure that you are really being very, I don't want to use the word clean, but very upfront and things about it. Because while CPARs is not made public, environment and, contract terminations and all of that information is made public. I am not sure how you cannot make that public. Unless you have a good lawyer involved and get to the point where there's no termination, it's a mutual consent. I don't know if that addresses or if I
No, it does. I guess it's important to understand exactly how public.
It is public, unfortunately. It is
the federal government.
It is public. I mean, even a protest is public. Even a protest decision is public. And I'm always, Leila knows, I love protests. I love reading protest decisions because I am shocked sometimes to find pricing information in there. It is, we have a couple of folks who do proposals and they say, oh yeah, we always read, these protests because there's so much of information that you can get. So, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a question in the Q&A area asking, is there a link to learn more about Fedmine subscription, including fees?
Deborah, reach out to me. I will talk to you. I can give you more about our pricing. But we do have we have a relationship with SAMI. So if you're a sustaining SAMI member, you do get a better price.
And we can provide we can provide a customized demo for you and your team.
Thank you, Deborah Elliott. One other question I wanted to ask. So since there's so much information out there, is there a particular person or level of person within an organization that you would suggest be the keeper of the information? Multiple keepers of the information? How do you suggest for small businesses who are just coming into the federal contracting arena to kind of manage the data internally?
Yeah, so it just it depends on the size of the organization. Some of the larger organizations tend to have at least one person who is, or not even larger, I would say, you do want to have one person who's making sure that they are looking at ensuring everything is set properly. So I would say at least one person. In larger companies, we have more. I think there are many more people who are looking at data in different manners, just depending on in terms of I don't know, in terms of as a small business, making sure that your data is accurate in all these federal data sources, I think that's also super important, making sure, making sure that you're setting up, making sure that you have the right data in SAM and DSBS and things like that also gets important. I hope I did the right.
Yep. And then I guess my last question would be about set-asides and any sort of recommendations that you might have for searching opportunities based off of set-asides or small business designations. I think you went through that a little bit. Maybe you could clarify that a little more.
Yeah, so if you're looking for opportunities that are being released on beta.sam and things, then I would say yes. Set up your searches that have with the set-asides that you're looking for. I think as a small business, it's also important to make sure that you are also looking at how that agency is doing with their goals. So understanding how, like certain agencies are struggling with their women-owned goals. Certain agencies are struggling with their hub zone goals or veteran-owned goals. So understanding how an agency is doing also is super important, because I think that also helps you when you want to go after an opportunity. You want to make sure you have the right teaming partners. So that's another way. And then I think even looking at the subcontracts, right? Because a lot of the larger construction projects will have subcontracting requirements. So making sure we look at that. Sally, did I answer? Leila, do you want to add anything?
No, there's one other question that I think Anne has sort of handled, but Eric was asking, how do large businesses go about setting up matched appointments with small businesses? And
Dr. Anne and that email that she's reached out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me just say a word or two about the match networking. So what is different at SBC 2020 than in past years? We had networking roundtables, and at the networking roundtable, there was a host, which is either a government agency and a large business, and then up to 3 individuals could sit at the table with you at one time. This year, it is a one-on-one appointment. So we have government agencies and large businesses that are available to accept appointments. And so if the company is a large business and is exhibiting, then we have contacted you about doing that. If you're not exhibiting, we can certainly set you up to do that. And what is also different this time is that it is a matching concept. So the government agencies and the large businesses complete a profile, and they answer certain questions as far as what types of companies they're searching for. So it could be, your NAICS code, where you conduct business, your small business designations, and that is matched up with the attendee's profile. And you could see maybe they filled out, 6 things, and you have 4 of the 6. You will see a list of the hosts who are looking for companies specific to you, and then you have the opportunity to make an appointment with those hosts. The appointments are 10 minutes long. So this is one of the reasons that your research is so important, because you've got 10 minutes perhaps with the contracting officer from the USACE Kansas City district, you want to sit down already prepared and say, I am NAICS code, right, 236220, and I see in the past, these are the companies you've done business with, you know, we're similar to them or what have you. And I think that that is super important, Archisha, right? So someone in that instant,
Totally. You
could
hit
look
it on the
up,
nail.
yeah. You could look up then, again, on Fedmine, beta.sam, you know, your NAICS code, that agency, do some research on what contracts were let in the past, what's coming up, because you want to make the most of your 10 minutes. Don't go in there saying like, so, do you do this? And what's your, you know, small business goals? Have you reached your 8A?
Yeah. You don't want to do that. No.
Right, absolutely. So for our attendees who are on the line, the match networking appointments will open starting October 22nd for you to request the appointments.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Great.
Thank you for sharing, Anne. Is there anything else that you guys like to?
I think Sally, you actually got frozen. So we've had our technical challenges today. For certain, got another question that came in that said, isn't there a limit of 3 appointments? Yes, there is a limit of, you can request initially 3 appointments. The reason for the limit is because, you know, we've got thousands of attendees and only hundreds of hosts. And so that's why, you know, we don't want any one individual to take up all the time. So initially there is 3 appointments. And then once we get to November 4th, if we will open it up. So if you've made 3 appointments, you will be able to make additional appointments if there are any available. That was a great question. Thank you so much. So, great. Sally, looks like you got unfrozen.
She's back.
I was just going to point out with a 3 appointment limit, again, it's another reason why it's important to do your research so that your 3 appointments are impactful and are not just a waste. But I was just going to ask if there were going to be any closing notes and say thank you to Archisha and Leila.
No, thank you for having us here. And, you know, we want to make sure that SBC is successful for everyone, especially our small businesses and our large businesses. So,
yeah, it's our favorite show every year.
Mine as well. So we're looking forward to the rest of the sessions. Thank you so much, Archisha and Leila, for your help today.
Thanks for having us. Thanks, Sam.
Virtual SBC 2020 kicked off. We have another couple great programs that are going to be coming up as pre-sessions to help get our attendees ready for the SBC. So this is session number 1 of 3 in our pre-session group. So we're really happy to be able to kick it off with members of the small business community of interest. The next one will be next Tuesday and at 3 o'clock, I believe. Links will be sent out. Hopefully they'll work this time. And so we'll be seeing you in a week's time. If you have any questions about the SBC and myself, Archisha, who's also on the board, would be more than happy to help get everybody here ready and excited for a great experience.
It is.
Great.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Sally, Leila, and Archisha. This is Anne McLeod from the SAME National Office. Thanks to everyone for your patience today. With our links, we have recorded this entire session, so we will make sure that we get the full recording out to you. So whatever you missed, you will be able to reconvene with all of that great information. Thanks again. Have a great afternoon and be on the lookout for more emails from us about the virtual platform and getting ready for SBC. Thanks so much. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you.
Bye.